All right, let's get right into this. We are going to unpack the incredible story of Ted Zhang, a trader who, before he even turned 25, was co-managing a portfolio worth over $25 million. I mean, that's a staggering number, but you know what's even crazier? How he got there.
See, the first thing you have to understand is that this wasn't some finance whiz kid. He didn't grow up reading stock charts or interning on Wall Street. No, his path was completely, and I mean completely different.
In fact, you could say he was about as far from Wall Street as you could get. He was in college, on a pre-med track, planning to spend the next decade of his life in dental school. Trading wasn't even a blip on his radar.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question, right? How does a pre-med student make such a massive pivot that he ends up managing millions of dollars? Well, let's break down his wild journey step by step.
It all kicks off, like so many great stories do, almost totally by accident. He didn't go looking for the markets. In a way, the markets found him.
Just look at this timeline for a second. He starts college in the fall of 2019, and just a few months later, bam, the world shuts down. He gets sent home from school, sees the COVID market crash unfolding on TV, and gets curious. For the next year, he's basically trading blind, on pure gut feeling, until, somehow, he goes pro right after graduation.
And man, that first year, it was an absolute roller coaster. We're talking about a period of insane success, followed by a brutal lesson that would end up defining his entire career.
So you gotta remember, the market in 2020 was just a frenzy. Ted found his sweet spot in something called SPACs. And because that market was so ridiculously hot, he said making money felt effortless. As he put it, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Here's this kid in college, just raking in huge profits without really knowing the why behind it.
And then, the music stopped. When that SPAC market fell apart in early 2021, his easy edge just vanished. Poof! Gone overnight. He gave back a massive chunk of his winnings, taking a 50 to 60% hit to his portfolio. The market always comes to collect its tuition.
So what happened next is the absolute key to this whole story. That massive loss forced him to take a step back. And as luck would have it, he had to pause trading anyway to cram for his dental exams. You know, this break was a total blessing in disguise. It stopped him from revenge trading and gave him the space to ask a much better question. What does a real trader's system actually look like?
And that one question sent him down a totally new path. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, he decided he was going to learn from the legends, the people who had already cracked the code.
He just buried himself in what are basically the sacred texts of trading. He read everything from William O'Neill to Mark Minervini, and these books completely flipped a switch in his head. He went from a gambler chasing patterns to a strategist, building a repeatable, rules-based system.
And this right here, this became his North Star. He adopted William O'Neill's famous CANSLIM system. It's essentially a checklist for finding the absolute best growth stocks. It's not just about what the chart looks like. It combines powerful fundamentals like earnings with technicals like who's buying the stock. This became his playbook.
So, armed with this powerful new framework, he was finally ready for the big leagues. He took everything he learned and landed a role at River Asset Management, where, let me tell you, the game completely changes.
Look, trading your own money is one thing, but managing millions for other people, that is a whole different universe. All of a sudden, you're not just dealing with your own greed and fear, you're dealing with your clients too. You've got a team to answer to, SEC regulations to follow, and the weight of protecting other people's futures is just immense.
Because of all that pressure, his firm runs on a really simple but powerful philosophy: grow and protect. See, the goal isn't just to make a killing when the market's hot. The number one most important job is to protect that capital when the market turns sour, to avoid those catastrophic losses he experienced himself.
And this isn't just a vague idea. It's baked right into their selling process. They have strict rules. They trim positions when a stock goes parabolic. They use moving averages to let their winners keep winning. And the big one, they always have a stop loss to kill a trade that's not working. No questions, no hesitation.
And all of this brings us to the core lesson of Ted's entire journey. From that amateur kid in his dorm room to a pro managing millions, he learned one thing above everything else. There are no shortcuts. He says it himself. You have to be resilient. You are going to fail. You are going to have losing streaks. You will make mistakes. The entire game is about how you handle that failure and just keep pushing forward.
You know, he says that when he first started, he thought trading was all about memorizing chart patterns.
But what that huge drawdown taught him was that all that technical stuff, while it's important, is only the surface. It's just layer one. The real work, the stuff that actually makes or breaks you as a trader, are these deeper layers. Things like ironclad risk management, smart position sizing, and the mental toughness to stick to your plan when you're under fire. It's about knowing that failure isn't the end, it's just feedback.
And that's really the key takeaway from Ted's story. Having a strategy is just the price of admission. That's where you start, but it's not where you finish. True mastery is in all those layers underneath. So, the question to leave you with is, what's the most important layer that you need to be working on?